Today is August 11th, 2026. It is the 4-year anniversary of the release of my favorite book, Providence. And today I'm going to be reading my 10 favorite poems that I chose last night. So they're my favorite of the day, I guess. And thought I'd be reading through those and giving some insight as to why they're my favorite and how they've impacted me so far. I'm currently standing aboard the Providence, which is a boat stationed at the East 55th Marina in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. They've been so kind as to let me use this as the set for today. If you're interested, they actually take people out sailing around all on the lake here, and Captain Zach is a super awesome guy. Just met him, but he's already helping me plan next year's 5th year anniversary, where I have something special coming for that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. My very first poem that I'd like to pick as this plane is flying overhead. So there's a couple things in this one. This is on page 21. A lesson learned in steady motion. Find the pace that supports a head held high. First, this interesting part of this one is that pace is capitalized. And the reason why I did that is because the Italian word for peace is pace. And pace was one of my favorite words when I studied in a small city in Italy on the eastern side, mountain area called Urbino. And in Urbino I learned about moving slowly and physically learning how to walk very slowly so that naturally my body could be upright and without any effort or without the rapid pace of moving forward, you stand upright rather than seeking on the ground or kind of darting everywhere in your mind and not naturally flowing through a pace that allows you to stand upright. So if you're able to do that on a slow, meditative walking path, try to do it in your day-to-day world, and you'll find that it's a lot easier to slow down, to breathe, to pay attention to what's in front of you, who's in front of you, what they're working towards, talking about, everything. Find the walking pace that supports a head held high. I can't stress that enough. So go for a walk without your phone and see if you can manage that. And I'm talking super slow, very, very slow. All right, number 2, on page 49. A tree never moves from the spot of its seeding and still receives all the nutrients it needs to live a fulfilling life. A tree never moves from the spot of its seeding and still receives all the nutrients it needs to live a fulfilling life. This is a philosophy I learned from my friend Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. He taught me this a long, long time ago. And it is a theme that is common throughout this book, which is stillness and remaining steadfast and patient in everything that you're doing, because simply by remaining firm in a singular moment or situation or place, you will find that below your feet is the solution to the task at hand, the problem you're facing, the needs that you feel have become unmet. And this all comes from the idea of a tree who literally, once it's put in the ground, it cannot move. It has no legs to move around. Yes, certainly there could be landslides or a transplant of some sort, but it's uncommon. So in the life of a tree, as soon as it's in the ground, it will stay, and it will have to reach its roots far and wide, which is something that we can all do once we look deep within ourselves and find the connections that attach us to the world around us. From there, we were able to find a path to receive the nutrients for whatever it is we need. Is that money? Is it happiness? Is it relationships? Everything is all there. On to number 3, page 82. Certainly aligns with the theme of the book, and I'll use this moment to remind everyone that the definition of providence that I've chosen is providence, a noun, the foreseeing care and guidance of God or nature over the beings of earth. That word has inspired, obviously, the entire book. But the way I perceive it is that it is a supernatural force that is aiming for the benefit of everything that exists here and in the universe around. So on page 82, the poem reads, "The hand of God is not always gentle when providing divine guidance." And I'm certain that anyone who has prayed or asked for something greater or sought change within something that they cannot control, they have received an answer in the form of catastrophe, chaos, struggle, pain, you name it. Something did not go right, but in that storm, in that moment that was more difficult than you thought you could handle, everything cleared, the dust settled, and the resolve that you learned through that was able to carry you through to get to the other side of the problem and arrive at a place that actually taught you something and made you stronger in the process. So I remember writing this kind of as a response to seeing my little dog when I would take her on a walk, and there were times where she would run off and try to eat something, and unfortunately I would have to pull the leash a little bit harder than I would have liked, but it was in a way to protect her so that she didn't eat a dying fish, because she would still eat it. I don't know why this dog would just eat anything, but pulling on the leash a little bit harder than I expected was uncomfortable for her and for me, but it was a way to make sure that she was guided away from eating something that would cause her harm. So I see the same in myself when something bizarre or difficult happens to me and it was out of my control, and if the chain gets yanked, I have to respond the best way I can, which is, say thank you. I'm certain there was a reason why that happened. Number 4, page 93. Routinely stabilized by constant motion. Perhaps if I only stood still for a moment, everything would fall into place. So, momentum is a powerful force, and if you've ever ridden a motorcycle or a bicycle, you know that you must keep moving in order to stay balanced. I can say 100% for certain that I've been doing that a lot in my life lately, which is moving quickly as to keep my momentum up, keep the flow going. But oftentimes I forget that I need to actually hop off the bike or stop moving for a moment and rest and recharge and become still within myself so that I can listen to my internal thoughts and remember the present moment instead of always seeking the next thing. So as I'm routinely stabilized by constant motion, I also need to be reminded that a routine stabilization can come from actually slowing down and standing still for just a moment so that everything can fall into place around me. I wish everyone could do that. I know it can be difficult to slow down sometimes and be reminded that there is power in just taking a break. So if you find yourself a little bit overwhelmed with the world today, which is so easily possible with everything that's going on, especially with our phones constantly inundating us with endless input, if we're able to remove the input just for a little bit, whether that's people, places, phones, you name it, just find a quiet hideaway and return to your peace for just a bit, you'll find that all those little things that cause anxieties or fears or worries can settle in, and they themselves will kind of fall away and sink to the bottom of the problems that you're currently facing, and you'll be able to let the good stuff rise to the top. Number 5 on page 104 is a very simple one. I wrote this on the beach in Hilton Head, South Carolina, North Carolina, Hilton Head. And the thought came up, and then I lost the thought, and then I waited for an hour thinking about exactly what I was trying to say at that moment, where that thought came up. And finally, it returned. And the poem is only 8 words, which are, "She is to be what is of me." And this comes from the love section of the book. She is to be what is of me. And the original reason for this one was that I was finding that all of the pains, struggles, problems, annoyances I had with a romantic partner at the time were all things that I finally realized were my own problems, and I was just projecting them onto her instead of allowing them to be, or realizing that they were actually my problems that I need to resolve. Now, there is a deeper spiritual lesson here, which potentially I am attracting the partner that is putting those problems into my world so that I can see them and then overcome them, which I believe to be true, just the way I live my life. But also, one level further, we know that the first story, I'm sure there are stories before this, but the story of Genesis is such that a man removed a piece of his body. He took his rib out, cast it upon the earth, and then from that his woman was formed. And there's so much power in that, knowing that the person that we see across from us as we live our loving lives will in fact have that counter component to everything that we do, good, bad, happy, sad. And I think it's up to both of us to work together to resolve any of those less than moments and bring them into greater than moments together. So when I say she is to be what is of me, I know that I must work on myself to become the best I can possibly be, so that the person who I choose to love will also get that benefit and then become, hopefully, the best version of herself in the process as well. Number 6 is on page 125. Is someone from afar the same person as up close? Projections arise within the void of reflection. I think this definitely ties in with the last poem I just read. Is someone from afar the same person as up close? Projections arise within the void of reflections. This is very much in line with the idea of pass no judgment, cast no stones. Who is the person that I'm seeing when I look at them from afar? Their face can change as they get closer. Their appearance might be one thing, but their actual energy, their soul, can be an entirely different representation of who they are, based as opposed to what I thought they might be or who I thought they might be. And through meeting so many people, I found that everyone knows it's so easy to pass a judgment and quickly attach to the idea that I don't like this thing about them, I don't like that thing about them. But a simple reminder is that everybody's going through something. It could be good, it could be bad, it could uplift them, it could bring them down, it could cause them to act a variety of different ways, especially when they meet you, and not always is everything personal. Of course, those circumstances where you do recognize that someone is not doing something that you appreciate, but even in that, know that there could be a motivation that goes beyond what is simply presented to us. So looking a little bit deeper and trying to be empathetic and compassionate to where someone came from, how they got there, and including their lifelong upbringing that put them into this position that they're in, and not responding to the actions that they currently have, but being reminded that they can, in fact, be the greatest version of themselves if simply we work together and allow themselves in time to grow comfortable in the person-to-person relationship and express who they truly are at their deepest. Because I think Yes, there might be evil in the world, but everyone is, for the most part, seeking peace within themselves and looking to provide that to everyone around them. I believe this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 7 on page 139. My work is perfect, you see. I couldn't possibly do it any other way than the way I did it. My work is perfect, you see. I couldn't possibly do it any other way than the way I did it. This one hits home because my entire life I've struggled with perfectionism, and it truly wasn't until I discovered painting that I was able to release that feeling, because I learned this amazing quote that the painting is never done, I'm done with the painting. And that inspired me to not care less, but to not be so attached to this end result that has to be exactly this thing that I dream it to be. Because as you get better and better through progressing in your skill, nothing will reach the heights of the people that you admire, the works that you admire, until you can get to that point, building these skills. I still look at my work and I say, that could be better here, that could do this, that could do that, but I'm less afraid to share the work, even though I feel it might be unfinished or not as good as, or not this or not that, and just allowing it to be what it is and saying, okay, that one's nice, but I have the energy and capacity to make so much more, so let me just keep going. This one's done, I'm done with it. It's not perfect, but I did it the way I did it, and that makes me happy, and because of that, it has reached its end, and that is when perfection arises. When something reaches its end, that is its perfect moment. Whether it's an unfinished sketch, a poem that I wrote 2 words and gave up on, a photo, a painting, anything. It's not perfect. Nothing can be perfect, but it is perfect in the sense that it is finished. So if you're a perfectionist out there, get over it. That's my advice. Get over it, and be, unabashedly indifferent about something being perfect. Still take good care of your work and try to do your absolute best always, but remember that it's okay to stop and be done and say this thing is complete. Okay, number 8. Live a good life now to avoid the fear of remembering when I am old. This is from the affirmations section. Live a good life now to avoid the fear of remembering when I am old. Why would I want to avoid the fear of remembering? Well, there's horrible things that happen in life. The best thing we can do is make sure our choices do not make those happen, which is why I'm choosing to live a good life in all my actions, so that when I get older and I look back on the things I've done in my life, I don't have to be disappointed in myself. I don't have to be afraid of the person that I was. I don't have to be afraid of even thinking back into those moments. And everything that has come to pass in my life has not been perfectly amazing, and I am certainly doing my absolute best. I've made wrong choices. I've done things I'm not proud of, but in those moments are where you learn, and where this is playing. In those moments are where you learn and where you become the better version of yourself, the one who can recognize good versus bad, and how it feels to do something that's wrong. I always use this phrase, and I'm sure everybody's heard it, but you have to touch the stove to know it's hot. Some people like to keep touching the stove because that little bit of pain weirdly is exciting, and it's a feeling that does give us, that chemical response where our minds and our bodies are flooded with adrenaline, or a rush that you can only get from that type of thing. There some modern simple examples I can think of are gambling, or drugs, or excess, gluttony, you name it. These types of things are enticing, and they're fun to some degree, but they can also cause a ton of problems that are unexpected and pop up in mysterious ways that can only arise as a way to teach us, just like the sometimes not so kind hand of God yanking the leash on us. So again, choosing right is not always the easiest thing, but I'd say in most situations, if you simply take a moment between choosing the thing that might feel the best versus the thing that you know is right, choosing the one that's right will be obvious. It's not always the easiest choice, but in doing so, you will be able to avoid the fear of remembering things as you go on later in life and look back at who you were and what you did. Okay. Number 9, on page 171. Many times been damaged, many times have received a full recovery. I let everything out to find empty and to fill myself once again with everything I want to be. So on the last page of this book is another poem that talks about how I've forgotten everything I've ever known. And this goes very well with that, in the sense that in order to make yourself new and refresh who you are, I found in my life that it's so important to express everything, to put all into one consistent project that collects every idea and every facet of my life that I could possibly imagine. Now I feel like I've gotten better at putting it all to a singular theme, but in this, I know that expressing myself through painting, through writing, through photography, through communication and speech, through making a collection of work, and putting everything I can possibly think of into this one moment, that allows me to empty my cup entirely. And then after the release of that, I now have an empty cup that allows me to fill myself in a different way than perhaps I was before, reassess, realign, and discover if the words I spoke out loud and the things I presented actually feel good, true, and positive for the life that I am aiming for. And if they don't align, I'm able to take that empty cup and all the things that I just presented, maybe remove some, keep others, and then fill up my cup once more to now become the person that I can better connect to, because I have a different perspective of who I actually am now that I have this emptiness inside of me, which is not a bad emptiness. It is hard to get to sometimes, but as you arrive at that emptiness is when all sorts of things can start to flood in, and there might be things that you don't appreciate in there, but there's so much wiggle room in there to look around and realize that that's not it, this is it. Let's keep going in that direction. All right, and finally, number 10. Another simple one on page 177. We'll end it here. But there are 6 words. This is a kind of a punny one. But even wisdom has dumb in it. Even wisdom has dumb in it. Goes back to everything I was saying. All these thoughts that I collected, everything I put in this book, all came from me being curious, being dumb, being unsure, seeking more, trying to understand the world around me. And yes, dumb is a bad word in this case, but if I wasn't dumb and recognized it, I wouldn't be able to pursue the things, the answers that would allow me to gain the knowledge, which then I can combine with the experience I discovered. And through that knowledge plus experience, I'm able to birth wisdom within myself, taught to me by the loving grace of God or nature, and receive gifts that were laid out for me, all because I asked questions and all because I wanted to know what this world is about, who I am, and what I can possibly do to make it a better place. So with that, I want to say thank you all to everyone who's bought this book. It means the world to me. I have a very exciting thing planned for next year, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks again to the Foundry East 55th Marina for having me aboard the Providence. What a beautiful ship. It's made in the 1960s, so it's very old, an old wooden ship, and it's a great place to celebrate today. Go to Amazon, get this, leave a review, and I'll see you soon.